He should be grateful I didn't run him over twice. That's what the young man said in my courtroom, loud, clear, like it was a joke. I sat on the bench in Providence Municipal Court, and for a second I wondered if I truly heard him right. I have heard every kind of excuse in this room. I have heard people beg, lie, cry, and blame. But that line hit different. It was cold, it was proud, it was cruel. The defendant was 22 years old. His name was Mason Ketter. He wore a white designer jacket that still had a sharp fold in it, like it came straight off a store shelf. His watch was heavy and shiny, like a small mirror. He leaned back in his chair like he owned the building. In the front row, a man sat with his hands folded. His coat was too big for him, and his boots looked tired, like they had walked too many miles. His name was Walt Raines. He was a veteran. He was also homeless. When Mason said that line, I heard a sharp breath from the gallery. I saw a woman cover her mouth. I saw my clerk stop writing for a moment, her pen hovering in the air, and I felt something in my chest sink, like a stone dropped in water. I looked straight at Mason and kept my voice calm, because my job is not to shout. My job is to be steady. My job is to be fair. But inside I was thinking, not in my courtroom, not today. If you believe justice should be equal for everyone, you'll want to see what happens next. The bailiff's voice carried across the room. All rise. Chairs scraped, feet shifted. The room stood, then sat as I took my place. Call the next case, I said. The bailiff read from the sheet. Case 2026, TR 4189, State versus Mason Ketter. Mason stood up slowly, like he had all the time in the world. He did not button his jacket. He did not look nervous. He looked bored. I glanced at the file in front of me. Mr. Ketter, I said, good morning. He gave a half smile. Morning, Judge. Sir, you are here for a traffic matter that is not small, I said. Leaving the scene after striking a pedestrian. Also, an attempted bribe of a witness, according to the report. He shrugged, like I was reading a menu. It's blown way out of proportion. I kept my tone polite. We will decide what it is, Mr. Ketter. That is why we are here. I looked to the side. And we have a complainant present, Mr. Walter Raines. Walt stood up. He was tall but thin. His hair was gray and uneven, like it had been cut with dull scissors. His eyes were tired but alert. He held a canvas bag close to his side, like it had everything he owned. Mr. Raines, I said gently, good morning. Good morning, Your Honor, he said. His voice was quiet but clear. He spoke like someone used to following rules. I read more from the file. Mr. Raines, the report says you were crossing South Water Street near a bus stop when a car made a fast turn and hit you. You fell. You were hurt. You say the driver stopped for a moment, then drove away. Walt nodded once. Yes, sir. I saw him swallow. I saw the skin of his throat move like he was holding back something. Pain, maybe. Or shame. Or both. I asked, Are you working right now, Mr. Raines? He hesitated. Not steady, sir. I do day jobs when I can. Wash dishes, sweep, anything. And where are you living? I asked, even though I already knew the answer. He looked down. Shelters when there's room. Some nights, a bench. Some nights, the bus station. I try to stay out of trouble. That last part landed hard in my mind. I try to stay out of trouble, as if trouble is a place you can avoid like a puddle, as if trouble does not chase you when you're already down. Mason made a sound, not a laugh, but close, like a cough that was really a joke. I looked at him. Mr. Ketter, do you have something to say? He lifted his hands. No, this is wild. I mean, look at him. How do we even know he didn't fall on purpose? The gallery shifted again. I felt the air tighten. I kept my voice level. Mr. Ketter, you will speak with respect in my courtroom. This is not a show. He smirked. Sure, Judge. Respect. I saw Walt's fingers squeeze the handle of his bag. His knuckles turned pale. The prosecutor, Ms. Dyer, stepped forward. She looked serious, and she carried a folder thick with papers. Your Honor, the state is ready. Mason's attorney, Mr. Lasco, stood too. He looked like he had not slept well. He kept smoothing his tie as if he could iron out the problem with his hands. "We're ready as well, Your Honor," Mr. Lasco said quickly. I nodded. "Ms. Dyer, tell me what happened." She opened her folder. On the evening of January 9th, Mr. Raines was crossing at the crosswalk. A black sports car, a Vantara R8, made a right turn without yielding. Mr. Raines was struck. The driver stopped briefly, exited the vehicle, and spoke to Mr. Raines. Then the driver returned to the car and left the scene. I looked at Mason. "Mr. Ketter, do you deny leaving?" Mason leaned toward the microphone. "I didn't leave the scene. I left because it was late and I didn't want drama. The guy looked fine." Walt's voice cracked, just a little. "I wasn't fine." Mason waved him off. "You're standing now. You're fine." I leaned forward. "Mr. Ketter, I will warn you once more. Do not dismiss people. Do not treat this courtroom like a comment section on the internet." He tilted his head. "What, I can't speak?" "You can speak," I said, "but you will speak like a man who understands that other human beings matter." Mason's mouth curled. "Okay, sure." The first confrontation hit quickly. It was small, sharp, like a paper cut. But paper cuts can still bleed. Ms. Dyer lifted a sheet from her folder. "Evidence number 1, Your Honor, a receipt and timestamp from the Harbor Street parking garage. The defendant's car entered the garage at 8:44 p.m., 4 minutes after the crash was reported at 8:40. Mr. Lasco frowned. "Your Honor, we object to—" I raised my hand. "This is a hearing. I want to see it." The clerk passed it up. I read it. Black ink, clean lines, the license plate matched. I looked at Mason. "Mr. Ketter, 4 minutes after the crash, your car is in a garage. That's not staying, that's leaving." Mason shrugged again. "I had somewhere to be." "Somewhere more important than the man you hit?" I asked. He leaned back. "It was a bump, not a hit." Walt's eyes flashed. He lifted his sleeve a little and showed a bruise on his forearm, yellow and purple, like an old storm cloud. "It wasn't a bump." Mason made a clicking sound with his tongue. "That bruise could be from anything." I felt my patience being tested, like a rope being pulled tight. "Ms. Dyer," I said, "continue." She nodded. "After the defendant left, Mr. Raines was helped by 2 bystanders. An ambulance was called. Mr. Raines declined a hospital visit because he feared the cost." When she said that, I saw Walt's face tighten. He looked embarrassed, like being poor was something he had done wrong. I looked at him. "Mr. Raines, did you get medical help later?" He nodded. "A clinic, sir. They said my wrist was sprained. It hurt to hold a mop." Mason laughed under his breath. A mop. That was the second cut. Still small, still cruel. Then came the second confrontation. It was bigger. It was an authority challenge. It came with name-dropping, like a key Mason thought could open any door. Mr. Lasco stepped in. "Your Honor, my client is prepared to resolve this today. He is willing to pay a fine, cover reasonable expenses, and move on." Mason's eyes flicked to the gallery, then back to me. "Yeah, I can write a check. I do it all the time." I said, "This is not a shopping bill." Mason leaned forward, voice louder now. "Judge, with respect, my father knows people. This doesn't need to be messy. We can make it simple." The room went quiet in a different way, not shocked, more like wary. I asked, "What did you just say to me?" He smiled as if he was being friendly. "I'm saying we can handle it like adults. My dad, Victor Ketter, is a big supporter of the city. He donates to stuff. He knows council members. We're not trying to waste your time." I felt my jaw tighten. I did not raise my voice. I did not slam my hand. But my words came out firm. "Mr. Ketter, the only people who matter in this courtroom are the law, the facts, and the truth." He rolled his eyes. "Okay." Ms. Dyer turned a page. "Evidence number 2, Your Honor. A series of messages sent from the defendant's phone to Mr. Raines." Walt blinked. "He texted me?" Ms. Dyer looked at him. Mr. Raines, you gave your phone number to the officer so you could be contacted, correct? Walt nodded. Yes, ma'am. Ms. Dyer held up printed pages. 2 days after the crash, you received text from an unknown number. We traced it to the defendant. Mr. Lasco shifted. Your Honor, I said, let me hear it. Ms. Dyer read, slow and clear. First message, you don't want court, you want cash. Second, say you tripped, I'll send $5,000. Third, if you show up, you'll regret it. The gallery made a low sound, like a wave pulling back on a beach. Walt's face went pale. I thought that was some scam. I looked at Mason. Did you send those messages? Mason lifted his chin. I was trying to solve it. That's what everyone does. Offering money is one thing, I said. Threatening someone is another. He spread his hands. It wasn't a threat. It was like advice. Walt's voice shook now. I served my country. I'm not scared of you, but I am tired. I'm tired of people trying to step on me. That line didn't come out dramatic. It came out honest. And honesty is louder than yelling. Mason stared at Walt as if he was looking at a broken tool. You keep saying, served, like that makes you special. I could feel the room leaning forward like everyone sensed the storm building. I said, Mr. Ketter, stop. He didn't. That led to the third confrontation, the line cross, the insult that turns a courtroom from tense to dangerous. Mason pointed at Walt. This guy is a professional victim. He probably sleeps on sidewalks for fun. Guys like him make the city look dirty. I heard someone whisper, oh my God. I looked at Mason. You will not talk about him like that. Mason's smile got wider, like he enjoyed pushing. Why? Because he wore a uniform once? Walt lifted his head. His eyes were wet now, but he did not look away. I wore it for 8 years. Mason leaned in and spoke like he wanted everyone to hear. Then maybe you should have learned how to win. Ms. Dyer's voice cut through. Evidence number 3, Your Honor. Video from a city bus. Mason's posture changed just a little. The first crack, like a mask slipping. Ms. Dyer explained. The bus was stopped at the light. Its side camera caught the crash. It also caught what happened after. She handed the video file to the clerk. The screen in the courtroom turned on. The room dimmed. Faces became shadows. I watched the video with my own eyes. A man in a big coat stepping into a crosswalk. A black sports car turning too fast. The quick thud. The man falling. Then the car stopped. The driver got out. Even on the grainy video, I could see the body language. The driver stood tall. The man on the ground tried to sit up, and then the part that made the whole room stiffen. The driver held out his phone, not to call 911, not to call for help. He held the phone up like he was recording. I saw the driver lean down and speak. I could not hear the words in the video, but I could see his mouth move. I could see his smile. Then the driver put something in the man's hand. A folded bill, maybe. Then he turned and walked back to the car. He got in. He drove away. Walt put his hand over his mouth. He whispered, "He filmed me?" Mason tried to laugh, but it came out thin. "It's not what it looks like." I paused the video right on the frame where the phone was held up, pointed at Walt on the ground. "Mr. Ketter," I said. "What is it then?" He swallowed. I was protecting myself. "From what?" I asked. He leaned back, voice louder again, trying to recover control. "From liars, from people who fake stuff. You know how it is." I looked at Walt. "Mr. Raines, do you remember what he said when he leaned down?" Walt stared at the screen, then at Mason. His voice got small. He said, "Don't bleed on my shoes." The gallery gasped. And Mason, instead of stopping, instead of showing even one drop of shame, smirked. That is when we reached the moment that people would talk about later. The viral moment did not come from a fancy speech. It came from a choice. It came from Mason deciding to say the worst thing possible in the place where truth lives. Mason lifted his chin, and spoke like he was proud of his own cruelty. He said, "A medal doesn't make you a man. If he was so brave, he wouldn't be sleeping like a stray dog." 10 seconds of silence hit the room. It was the kind of silence you can feel on your skin, the kind of silence that tells you every person heard it and nobody knows how to breathe. I felt my face change. I felt it in my cheeks. I felt it behind my eyes. I did not plan it. It just happened. Then the gallery erupted. "Hey!" someone shouted. A woman cried out, "That's disgusting!" Someone else yelled, "Have some respect!" The bailiff took one step forward, his hand ready in case he had to stop the crowd. Walt stood there frozen. His eyes filled, and one tear rolled down his cheek. He did not wipe it. He did not move. He just stood like a man who had carried too much for too long. I raised my hand. The room fell quiet again, but not calm, not yet. I stared at Mason Ketter. I let his own words hang in the air like smoke. Then I spoke. "Mason," I said slow, "you just compared a human being to a stray dog." He shrugged, trying to look tough. "I'm just being real." I leaned forward. "No, Mason, you are being cruel, and you are doing it like it's entertainment." He scoffed. "It's not my job to save every sad story." I said his name again. "Mason." Now his eyes met mine. For the first time I saw a flicker of doubt, not guilt, just doubt, like he realized he might not be able to buy his way out of this moment. I pointed to the screen. "Mason, I watched you hit a man in a crosswalk. I watched you stand over him. I watched you record him like he was a joke." He opened his mouth, but I kept going. "Mason, you offered money to make this disappear. Then you sent messages that sounded like threats. Then you came into my courtroom and tried to use your father's name like a shield." I let that sink in. "Tell me something," I said. "What do you think a courtroom is?" He blinked. "A place to settle stuff." "It is a place to face what you did," I said. "It is a place where the rich and the poor stand on the same floor. And Mason, you have been acting like the floor belongs to you." He tried to laugh again. "Come on, this is over a crosswalk bump." I turned to Walt. "Mr. Raines, how old are you?" Walt cleared his throat. 58, sir." I nodded. 58. Then I turned back. "Mason, you are 22. You have money. You have a family that can help you. You have a place to sleep tonight. You have food. You have safety." I paused. "Mr. Raines has none of that." Walt's shoulders rose and fell. He was breathing hard, like he was trying not to fall apart in front of strangers. I said, "Mason, I want you to look at Mr. Raines, not his coat, not his boots. Look at his face." Mason glanced at Walt for half a second, then looked away. I said, "Look again." He did. Longer this time. I asked, "Do you know what it means to be tired in your bones?" He frowned. "No." "Do you know what it means to serve your country and come home and feel invisible?" I asked. He said nothing. I repeated his own words back to him slowly. "You said he should be grateful I didn't run him over twice. You said maybe you should have learned how to win. You said he wouldn't be sleeping like a stray dog." I leaned forward. "Mason, those words tell me something." He swallowed. "What?" "They tell me you have never had to need mercy," I said, "because people who have needed mercy usually learn how to give it." Mason's eyes narrowed. "So what? You're going to punish me because you don't like my attitude?" I shook my head. "No, Mason. I'm going to hold you responsible because of your actions, but your attitude is why I am going to make sure you learn something from it." I looked at Walt again. "Mr. Raines, why were you crossing the street that night?" Walt wiped his cheek with the back of his hand. "I was going to the shelter. They serve soup at 8:30. If you're late, you don't eat." That line hit the gallery like a weight. I turned back to Mason. "Mason, when you are late for dinner, what happens?" He shifted. I order something." "You order something," I repeated. "Mr. Raines loses his meal." I let that truth sit between us. "Mason," I said again, "in this courtroom, we do not treat people like trash because they are struggling. We do not laugh at pain. We do not point at the lowest person in the room to make ourselves feel taller. His face reddened. This is ridiculous. I held up the parking receipt. 4 minutes after the crash, you parked your car. I held up the text messages. You offered money, then sent threats. I nodded toward the screen. You recorded a man on the ground. Then I said quietly, and you insulted a veteran in open court. Mason's jaw clenched. He's not a hero. I looked him straight in the eye. Mason, you don't get to decide who is worthy of dignity. Now I could see him starting to crack. Not like a movie, not like a sudden tear, more like a proud boy realizing the world does not bend to his wallet. I took a breath, and I made my decision. Mr. Ketter, I said, stand up. He stood. He tried to keep his shoulders wide. Here is what is going to happen, I said, and I want you to listen carefully, because for the first time today, your money is not going to speak for you. First, I addressed the financial penalty. You will pay a total of $8,750, I said. That includes the fine for leaving the scene, the fine for unsafe turning, and a court cost. Mason's eyebrows shot up. That's insane. I held up my hand. You will also pay $1,250 directly to the community clinic that treated Mr. Rains, not to him, to the clinic. So the next person who comes in scared about the cost gets help. Walt's eyes widened. He whispered, "Thank you." I nodded at him. Then I continued. Second, I said, your license will be suspended for 6 months. No driving, no special pass, no family exception. You will turn in your license at the clerk's office today. Mason's mouth opened. Judge, I need to drive. I cut him off, still calm. You needed to drive carefully before you hit a man. I went on. Third, I said, you will complete 180 hours of community service. He scoffed. Community service? I can donate. I raised my voice just one notch. No. The room went still again. You will not donate your way out of character, I said. You will serve. I gave the details because vague punishments are easy to dodge. You will do those hours at the Providence Veterans Outreach Kitchen, I said, every Saturday and Sunday for 12 weeks. Mr. Lasko leaned forward. Your Honor, I held up my hand. Let me finish. Saturday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Sunday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. You will wash dishes, you will mop floors, you will take out trash, you will serve meals, you will look people in the eyes and say, good morning. Mason's face twisted. That place smells. I stared at him. That place smells like hunger. And you are going to learn what hunger looks like. I continued. You will be supervised by the program director, Ms. Leona Park, I said. You will sign in and sign out. If you are late even once, the director will call my clerk. If you miss a shift, you will return to my courtroom. Then I added the part that matched his behavior. Fourth, I said, public accountability. Mason groaned. Seriously? Yes, I said. You will write a handwritten apology, not typed, handwritten, 2 pages. I looked at Walt. Mr. Rains, you will receive a copy. The court will keep a copy, and the outreach kitchen will keep a copy. Mason muttered, That's humiliating. I nodded. It should be. Humility is not a punishment. It is a lesson. And, I said, you will record a 60-second message, a PSA. That means a public service message, a short video, no jokes, no music, no flashy editing. Mason blinked. For what? For young drivers, I said. You will stand in front of a plain wall at the outreach kitchen. You will say, I hit someone, I left, I was wrong. And you will tell them to stop, call for help, and treat people with respect. Mr. Lasko swallowed hard. Your Honor, may we... I looked at Mason. This part is not optional. Then I addressed the contempt, because what Mason did in my courtroom was not just rude, it was dangerous to justice. Mason, I said, you crossed a line when you attacked a man for being homeless and a veteran. You disrupted this court. You showed contempt. I paused. Contempt means you acted like the court did not matter, like rules did not matter. Mason scoffed. So what, you're going to lock me up? I nodded once. Yes. The gallery gasped again. The bailiff stepped forward, ready. Mason Ketter, I said, you are remanded into custody for 48 hours. That means you will spend 2 nights in jail. You will have a review hearing in this same courtroom on February 10th. Mason's face drained of color. You can't do that. My dad, I looked at him, and my voice was quiet but final. Mason, your father is not on trial. You are. He took a step back. This is unbelievable. I nodded to the bailiff. Take him. The bailiff moved in. Mason tried to pull away at first, like a child who doesn't want to be held still. The handcuffs clicked. The sound was sharp in the room. Mason's eyes were wide now. He looked around like he expected someone to stop it. Nobody did. As he was led away, he shouted, "This is a circus!" I spoke one last line to him as he went. No, Mason, this is a mirror. When the door closed, the room felt lighter, like a storm had passed. I looked at Walt. He was still standing, shoulders slumped, tears drying on his face. "Mr. Raines," I said gently, "are you okay?" He nodded, but his chin trembled. "I didn't come here for revenge. I came because I wanted someone to believe me." I felt my throat tighten. "I believe you," I said, "and this court believes you." He looked down at his worn boots. "Thank you, Your Honor." I told him, "Please speak to the Victim Services Office before you leave. They can help you with resources." He nodded again, like he didn't want to hope too hard. 2 months later, I saw the case again in my schedule. Same room, same bench, different air. Mason walked in without the white jacket, without the shiny watch. He wore a plain sweater. His hair was not styled the same. His eyes were tired in a new way. That is what happens when life finally tells you no. He stood in front of me, hands clasped. "Mr. Ketter," I said, "you completed the 48 hours?" "Yes, sir," he said, voice low. "You completed the 180 hours?" I asked. He nodded. "Yes, sir." Ms. Leona Park had sent a report. It was not fancy. It was honest. It said he showed up early after the first weekend. It said he worked without complaining after the third. It said he made eye contact. It said he listened. I looked at Mason. "Did you write the apology?" He handed it to the clerk with both hands, like it weighed more than paper. "And the PSA?" I asked. He swallowed. "I did it. I watched the clip later. No music, no tricks. Just a young man standing in a kitchen with steam in the background saying he was wrong. Back in court, I asked him, 'Mason, what did you learn?' He looked at the floor, then up at me. 'I learned I didn't see people. I saw labels.' I said, 'And now,' he swallowed again, 'now I can't unsee them.'" Walt was not in court that day, but I got a letter from the outreach kitchen. It said Walt had started helping twice a week. It said he had been offered a steady job cleaning tables. It was not a big job, but it was a start. When court ended, I stayed on the bench for a moment after everyone left. The room was quiet, but I could still hear echoes of what had happened. I thought about Mason's words. I thought about Walt's tired voice. I thought about the way a person can be knocked down and still stand back up. And I reminded myself of something I have learned over and over in this room. Justice is not just a rule, it is a promise. It is the promise that no matter how much money you have, you do not get to crush someone who has less. It is the promise that dignity is not something you earn with a bank account. It is something you give because someone is human. In Providence Municipal Court, I do not measure people by their shoes or their suits. I measure them by their choices. And I will never forget the look on Walt Raines's face when he realized he was finally being treated like a person. My final line, the one I hope people carry with them, is simple. In my courtroom, nobody is a stray dog. Everybody is somebody.